Hey everybody, it's me, Terry, with the Drone Caf. Do you know that? Coming to you from sunny Central Florida. Beautiful day, a few clouds in the sky. Hey, we're sounding kind of David Lynch weather reporting again, aren't we? Ha ha ha. But really, we survived the hurricane. Hopefully the folks up north through the Carolinas, I know our brother David up in Madison's getting a little weather today from it. So hope everybody stayed safe in the storm. We lucked out. We didn't get too much here. So anyway, here's the weather report. We're all done. Thank you for watching, and let's move along. No, just kidding. Let's jump into some techie stuff. Now, last week, as you remember, I was talking about how we're shifting gears a little bit. We're going to talk about some sort of peripheral things and more of the technology and the numbers and the bits and the gigaquacks and all these things that all come together to make your aerial cinematography work. Now, flying the drone, we talk about that a lot. How to control the sticks, how to get the shots, how to set up the shots, all that stuff. Okay, that's all fine and good, but that's not where we're going. Today we're going to talk about speed. And by speed, I feel the need for speed. Oh, is that a movie thing? Anyway, whatever. Talking about the speed that data moves through your drone. And by that, I mean through the camera on your drone. And by that, I mean through the camera, through the processor, to the memory card. All right, this might be something you're familiar with your cameras, your ground-based cameras, whatever that may be. Or maybe it's something new to you. But anyway, it is something to be aware of because it does impact the quality of your images and your video, and also how it is handled on your computer for post. So, not going to be a real long one today, but I'm just going to do some comparisons. I've got a couple links that are going to be in the description that will give a little more information on this kind of thing so you can dig into it. Maybe get a little clearer picture if it's one of those kind of foggy, fuzzy things, because it can get confusing. Now, lots of drones out there, and the standard now, as with a lot of cameras, is 4K. I mean, everybody's thinking 4K. I need a 4K camera. 4K, give me 4K. 4K. I have to have 4K, nothing less. Guess what? You might have, remember, if you think back the past couple of shows, I've talked about the new Autel Evos even have 6K and 8K cameras. That's great. So you think, wow, well, that quality must just be astounding. That resolution is astounding. Resolution and quality are two different things. You can have high resolution and low quality. Stop and think about it. That's the number of pixels you're getting in an image, which is cool because it does give you, with these high K resolution images, gives you a lot of image to work with. So you can really punch in on things and maintain that quality or that resolution of the image, and so it gives you more to work with. But that is not the end all be all to the quality of your image. It's the amount of data that you get to work with. I won't make this a direct comparison, but just kind of to get your brain thinking in this direction, think of like shooting in log versus a predefined profile, where you get all this data. Your image looks like crap right off the card. I mean, it's just like all washed out and faded looking. That's because it has data for the full dynamic range. So then in post, you go into your color correction and bring those levels down out of that data. But it's best to start with a maximum amount of data in your dynamic range to work with to do that correction. Same thing with shooting JPEG versus RAW. You get more data. So the more data you have to work with, the better. So how do we get more data? Well, you have to think about some of the specs when you're buying a drone. Now you can think about battery time, the quality of the manufacturer. Do they have a good reputation? Price, of course, is always an issue. So you've got a lot of things that come into play. But again, that 4K thing is a really, really big selling point out there for drone manufacturers because they know, that's kind of an easy thing to relate to. Heck, even I'm recording this right now on a DJI Osmo Pocket. My control screen is my iPhone XR. It shoots in 4K at 60 frames per second. Not too shabby. So you get this, high resolution in these small cameras now. So it's sort of an expected thing. All right, so I beat 4K to death. Now, Now we'll kind of step back even further. You've heard me talk about SD cards, the card that stores the data coming through the camera, and why those are important. Well, of course, it's important to have plenty of them so you don't get out on set and run out of space to store, because you just want to shoot like crazy. Doesn't matter if it's a ground-based camera, aerial camera, whatever. You want to have plenty storage space to store as much data, imagery as you can shoot. And particularly if you're going out, like I talk about going out to shoot stock photography, you just want to go out and spend a day, man. I mean, just shoot like crazy, find things, be creative, look at different angles, shoot the same subject, find a tree and shoot it from 20 different angles. That's excellent practice. But when you get back, pop that in your computer and you start looking at all these things, then that's where you get your practice in. It's like, okay, that angle looked good, this one's like, but anyway, have a bunch of SD cards. But you gotta have the right SD cards, and that's where we're going with speed. Now, have you ever, when you bought SD cards for your camera, or any type card, but we're talking about SD and micro SD today, because that's what we use in drones. Have you ever stopped to think about the speed? What do you base your purchase on when you buy SD cards? And just take a second, think about it. Is it when you go to the electronics store, they happen to be on sale, so it's like, hey, I can get this for $17, I'm going to get 3 of them. Well, could be a good deal, maybe it's not. So is it price? Is it convenience? Or do you look at the specs? Or do you just buy the same old brand you've always bought? Which is fine. I mean, nothing wrong with that if it works. Boy, it's another hot one today. Whew. The pain I suffer. Nothing a good ice cold Dr. Pepper can't help with. But SD cards do have a rating. And again, link in the description. Click on that and take a look at it. You might be surprised at how the numbers work. All right. Now, kind of start making this all fit together. I've thrown a bunch of stuff out there. We've taken the jigsaw puzzle, just tossed it out on the tabletop. So now let's all start putting the pieces together. Mavic Mini. DJI Mavic Mini. Small, light, fairly inexpensive, really good drone. Shoots 2.7K, which is really good. The data rate. This is a term to really get familiar with. The data rate is 40 megabits per second. All right. So that means the imagery coming through the camera, through the sensor, through the processor, hitting the card at 40 megabits per second. All right. You have to quantify that however you want. Miles per hour, feet per second, whatever, but 40 megabits per second. 40 million bits of data per second are hitting that SD card. All right. Then we get up to my baby, the Evo. Evo's been around a couple years. It is really good technology. It is by no means obsolete or dated. But it is not the latest, greatest, because as you know in technology, man, that stuff goes like this. It is next impossible to stay ahead. That doesn't mean it's not important. This dude, when it came out a couple years ago, kind of set the standard. It went crazy with the data rate being 100 megabits per second. Same thing, 4K, it's dumping data to the card at 100 megabits per second. All right. Now let's zip back to the future or current, whatever. I'm loving this guy. This is the new kid on the block here at the Drone Cav, the Mavic Air 2. A little bit smaller than the Evo, blah, blah, blah. Incredibly knock it out of the park, astounding, fantastic, amazing. I don't know if I can say any more words because I'll keep you here all day. Incredible camera, fantastic camera. Flight controls, we got some things coming up in an update I know about that it's not released yet. Be out anytime the beta's out. People are digging it, adding some flight controls that are just crazy. This dude is knockout. Anyway, that said, DJI should send me a big endorsement for that. You listening, DJI? Hey? No, I really do love this guy, though. I'm just goofing off. But the data rate, again, 4K camera, 120 megabits per second. So we're dumping 120 megabits of data to the card. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, big deal. Boy, man, it's hot. Whew, sorry, it's just hot. It's 241 degrees out here. All right, so what does all this mean, and why should you care? All right, we talked about the speed of the card, talked about the amount of data coming through the camera sensor, through the processor, onto the card. Boom. The faster it can write data to the memory card, the more data, detail, information you're going to have, as Dingo eats a piece of leaf or something, you're going to have more information stored on your card. All right, think about compression. To get high quality with a low data rate, the image information, the digital information you're working with, is going to be compressed somewhat. Now, let's put that in some context. Have you ever taken a really good shot, really good image? I mean, even with your phone camera, it doesn't really matter the source, but a really good image, high quality, looks great on your computer, everything is fantastic. You upload it to, say, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, and it just looks really hideous. I mean, it's blocky, it's pixelated, it's or it just looks fuzzy. It's just not your image. That's because these services have to compress the imagery because they're hosting enormous, tremendous amounts of images and video. So they compress it down to make it tiny, and so you're losing that quality. About the same thing with data rate on a card. You're going to get less overall quality. I mean, you may have a resolution of 4K, but you can have frame drops and just pixelated images. You will just not have as smooth an image in the end. Now, again, some of this might get down to just a really fine difference where it would be near impossible for you to detect. But as a professional, some of this stuff might jump right out to you. And your audience, maybe they'll notice, but they can't put their finger on it. Why does this look really good? But, that's... I can't say what it is. It just doesn't look as good. So that's the kind of thing. So maximizing your data rate. All right, so now we're kind of getting a handle on it, right? Now let's get back to that card. Now, again, jump into that link on the from the sdcard.org. I believe that's the name of it. It's, again, the link's here. I don't trust my memory. It will give a breakdown of these speeds and what the recommended speeds on cards are for your application or your camera. Now, where you'll find that speed on the card, and I know you can't see this because it's a little tiny card. This is a Samsung, no pun intended. I don't know if that you can see that or if it's all blurry or whatever, too close. Oddly enough, the name of this card is an Evo. I use it in the Evo. It just happens to match. I didn't plan it that way. That's just the way it worked. But on these cards, you'll see a little indicator, for example, like a U. And it's real tiny. I mean, you got to put on your readers if you're old like me. And you'll see that U. It'll have a number in it. 3 is going to be pretty comfortable. That's going to give you the fast speed. Now, I also use cards from SanDisk, which is a pretty popular media storage company. They make external hard drives and thumbsticks and all kinds of stuff like that. Been around forever. They have a good line of Extreme and I think Extreme Ultra cards, things like that. So again, you're going to spend a few more bucks, and in a lot of cases, literally $2 or $3 more. It's not going to be wildly different. Got the Samsung Evos on Amazon. They're fairly reasonable. This is a 128 gig card. Can't remember the price, but it was like under $20. And they will give you the speed. But again, if you put a slow card in a fast camera, you're going to probably have issues. Now, an issue that I worked with someone on that pertain to their Osmo Pocket, exactly what we're recording on now. That was kind of cool. That was kind of 3D, like Friday the 13th 3D-ish. Should start doing the drone cab in 3D. What do you think? Be scary now, wouldn't it? Anyway, the Osmo Pocket, it records, and we're recording right now at 100 megabits per second. I've got a U3 card in here. It's very fast, so this should look fantastic, right? Well, you know, the picture quality anyway. So the data rate is coming right along. It's recording to the card just fine. But the person I was working with, they were getting a problem where the camera would only record these really short blips of information. It would record like, I can't remember if it was like 5 seconds or 30 seconds or something, and then it would stop recording. Well, the buffer was being saturated or overrun in that case, and the card wasn't able to keep up with the speed that the camera was pushing the data to. Put a faster card in, problem solved. We're cooking with gas. So anyway, you'll run into all these weird issues. And again, getting a card for your camera, I mean, you got to balance your system, right? You want to have the right matchup for everything going on. That way, data and everything can move, correctly through the system, because it is a system. I mean, you can have the best camera, the best sensor in the world, put the cheapest $5 card in it. Don't expect top results. It just ain't going to work that way. So anyway, that's my spiel. Last thing, you see me like flipping and flopping this thing around, just to explain what this guy is. When you buy your cards, you're going to get the micro SD card, which is the size of a grain of rice. This is an adapter, which is essentially hollowed out an empty regular SD card. Now, I remember when these used to be like a miracle. They were so small, but and you've seen this before. They pop right in there. But what this dude is, this is an adapter that I use with my iPad, either my iPad, regular plain old iPad, or iPad mini. Pops in there, and then this plugs into the lightning port. So it doesn't matter where I am. If I've got my iPad, I wanted to offload those images to my iPad to either edit right there or just take a look or just store them. If I want to get a backup, just get them off onto another device. I've got it right here. I mean, that's it. You carry that in your bag with your iPad. Pop the card out of the camera. Boom, boom, boom. Load everything in. And with an app like LumaFusion or even iMovie or something on your iPad, just go to work. Knock out a quick edit there, or just take a look or store. Anyway, that's it. So take a look at these links. They're going to go into a bit more detail than I did here. And as always, if you have a question, who are you going to call? I'm here for you. I'm a mentor at romeropictures.com/mentors. And if you haven't done it yet, jump over to our YouTube, Indy_Brigade, or youtube.com, Indy_Brigade. Or just go to YouTube and do a search for Indy Brigade. Click on us, give us a subscribe, give us a like. That's all we ask for. We're here for you. We've got cool stuff every day. We've got the Wagner Walls. We've got all these different shows. We have our Friday night show. We got the Devils into Detail. We've got Nasty Nation. We've got Richard Grieco's new show coming up here in August. I mean, it just goes on and on. We've got Dave Madison, end of the night on Fridays after our Friday show with George and Joe. I mean, and it's just growing. We're adding more. We've got awesome guests. It's just cool, right? So give us a subscribe, give us a like. It's been fun today. The heat's getting to me. I apologize for my craziness. But anyway, a lot of caffeine, a lot of Dr. Pepper. Crazy from the heat. See you next week.